for LifePage. LifePage Property and Investment has been operating now for 13 years in property business. And by God's grace, I'm the executive director in charge of project, marketing, sales, everything joined together. Okay, so welcome everyone. And I'm so excited that we are holding this today. In fact, this section that we are holding right now, I've been looking forward to us having it for a very long time. So the fact that we are getting this done today excites me a whole lot. So like I said, I've introduced myself, I've introduced what I do. All I do, my life is real estate. My life has always been real estate. So for the past 13 years officially with LifePage in real estate, but unofficially, unstructuredly, I've been doing real estate now for over 15 years. Okay. And I've seen a whole lot of people buy property, inherit properties, and they are not really making any meaningful use of those property, right? I don't know the reason why you are here tonight, all right? I don't know the reason why you saw the advert or something like that, but you found yourself to be this place this night. I might not be able to explain the reason, but I strongly believe that some of the questions in your heart will be answered in the course of this Thursday. So every Thursday throughout the month of June, I'm going to be coming to you 1 hour, and I'm going to be looking at how do we unlock cash from our dormant property, whether it is land, house, anywhere. I don't know where you are even joining us, anywhere in the world, because I noticed that some people saw the ad even outside the country, right? So anywhere you are in the world. And one of the things we are going to be doing, I'm just going to be laying foundation today, right? I'm going to be laying the foundation today. However, if you have specific case scenarios, right, that you want us to look at, you want us to undo, right, specific case scenario that you want us to look at and undo, of course, I'm going to be taking such case scenario. It's possible that it's going to be your own case, right, that I will be using as case studies. So what I would want you to do is to go back to the group, okay? For those of us that have joined the group, if you're not in any of the group or any of the community, you can just chat any of the admin hub and drop your own peculiar case. Let's say you have a house and you're not making money from that house or whatever situation you find yourself in. So please just drop it there and we'll pick it up and I'll answer the question in the course of this Thursday. So that's how it's going to work, right? That's how it's going to work. And also, like I said earlier, we are recording and we are also streaming. So what I will make sure I do is to make this video available for us so that we can watch it all over again and again and again. Okay, so have you ever been in a situation before or in a circumstances before that you have a property that you just feel that you are not making enough money from that property, or you bought land and you plan to build on that land, or even probably that you've even started constructing on that land, but as it is right now, you couldn't even complete building. And it's like you are stuck because you can't complete building and you are stuck. You don't even know, you don't know whether you should move forward. How do you go forward? How do you even go backward, right? And probably you were even sold that, no, if you buy properties, your retirement plan is your this, but you are not really making money from it. Or you have land in your village, you have land in your communities, you have different properties in different places, but as we are talking right now, it seems that you are not even, it's like the case is how will I put it? You are in comatose, if there's any English like that. Basically, you are not making any progress with those property, whether it's in Lagos, outside Lagos, and some of the examples we are going to be using are going to be relevant for those that are outside Nigeria. Okay, so number one thing that we are going to be looking at is that let's quickly look at some definitions. Let's quickly look at some definition. And the reason why I always want to I always love to teach and explain in this dimension is because it helps us to basically understand the reason why we are here, right? So any of your property that is not making money for you is basically a dead capital. What did I say? Any property that you have is not making money for you is basically a dead capital. See, when you are going into real estate, real estate or any form of investment at all must be doing two things for you. Real estate or any form of investment at all must be doing two things for you. Two things. Real estate or any form of investment must be doing two things for you. Number one is that it must, not my word, must be doing these two things. One is that it must be giving you cash flow. That is to say, you are getting something from that. You are getting like a rent. Cash flow is like a rent, maybe a lease agreement over a period of time. That means that property is generating money from you, for you, without you adding more money to it. Right? Then number two is that that property must, not my word, must also be adding value. Let me explain. And this is the foundation I really, really want to lay tonight. And I'm going to be giving us some key things that we can quickly do. And I'm going to be opening our mind to some of the ways, because you see, it's 1 week. Between now and next week, Thursday is 1 week. Okay. So I'm going to be giving us to open our mind to some things that we can go and quickly action on some of those properties or make some rearrangement. I remember some couple of months ago, I had this similar training, and an elderly man saw the advert, joined, attended this training, and was sharing with me that he was already thinking of how we can even sell some of this property and just distribute the money among the children, because most of this property were not really giving him the desired income that he wanted. So like I said, every of your property and assets must be doing two things, minimum those two things: cash flow and asset appreciation. Some people call it capital gain. Some people call it passive income. Okay, so what do we mean by passive income? Let me just basically break it down. You build a house, for instance. You build that house once, and that house continually gives you what? Income. Okay? You build an event center. That event center continually gives you income. You build an hotel. That hotel continually what? Gives you income. You invested into maybe cocoa farm, for instance. That is one-time real estate investment. That is what? A one-time real estate investment, but that cocoa farm is continually giving you what? A income. It's giving you an income continuously. So two things, like I said. Number one is that capital gain. Number two is cash flow. So look at the way our currency has been devalued, especially for those of us that are in Nigeria. What you can do with 10 million naira 3, 4, 5 years ago is not the same thing you can do with 10 million naira now. What you can do with 10 million naira 10 years ago is not the same thing you can do with 10 million naira now. I remember many years ago, I was teaching how to build your house with, how to build your creative ways to finance your housing. That was what I was teaching. And I was telling somebody, I said, if you want to build a 2 to 3 bedroom flat, you don't need more than 3,000 blocks, depending on the size of the 3-bedroom flat. But it's between 3,000 to 4,000 blocks, pieces of block that you need, right? So I was teaching that, and I saw my notes when I was doing the analysis. A block then, even 9 inches, was selling for 90 naira. That's about maybe 14 years ago or thereabout. Was selling for 90 naira. If you want to sell 9 inches now, buy 9 inches block now, in some places, 9 inches block is 1,000 naira. It's between 700 and 1,000 naira, depending. So what it means is that the houses you built 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, the same money you use in building those houses, you can't use it to build your house. You can't use it to build houses again now. My father built his first house in 1976. 1976 is about 50 years now. So of recent, of course, he has passed on now. So we saw the receipt. We saw the receipt of the trailer load. I think I've shared this in one of our communities before. Trailer load of cement was 60 naira. 60 naira, the receipt of that trailer load of cement was 60 naira. And you see, and that's the beautiful thing about real estate. Even though the amount you use in building the house many years ago was very small, but you can always revalue your house to meet the current reality. Let's take, for instance, now, I'm still explaining capital gain and cash flow. I'm using a house as case study or illustration here. Let's take, for instance, right now, that you build a house for 1 million naira, right? You build a house for what? 1 million naira. Depending on where you build, it commands different type of rental income. And you built it, let's say, 30 years ago. If you do the valuation of the house you built 1 million naira 30 years ago, most likely is going to be what? Maybe 100 million now. What that appreciation of that property has helped you to achieve is that it has helped you to achieve capital gain and fight against inflation on your behalf. Because if you have not, there's no form of investment, right, that protects your capital, that protects your investment as much as real estate. There is no form of investment that protects your investment. Imagine 50 years ago, what type of investment? A trailer load of cement is 600 bags. It's 600 bags, right? 600 bags times 10,000. Let's say it's 10,000 naira now for ease of calculation. That's 6 million naira, a trailer load of cement now. Somebody bought it 60 naira. 60 naira 50 years ago. What type of business will you do? Even as much as 60 naira was a big money then, right? That the 60 is only real estate. You can invest that type of money into, and your 60 naira 50 years ago can now be worth 6 million naira plus now. It's only real estate. Because 60 naira at that time, in terms of dollar, let's even say dollar, 60 naira at that time was about 120 pounds. Of course, naira was stronger than pounds. So let's even say inflation. Let's add one more zero. Let's say it's 1,200 pounds. So 1,200 pounds in today's money, in today's naira, is still less than 6 million naira. I'm just painting the picture why that any property that you have must continually increase in value. And see, in case you have any property that is not increasing in value, we're going to be looking at some of the things you can also do, right, in the course of these Thursdays now, the Thursdays in this month, that can help your property to also to increase in value. If you are still with me, can you just go to the chat room and type 5? If you are still with me, just go to the chat room and type 5. If you can locate the chat room, just go to the chat room and type 5. Very, very important. I just want to know whether you can hear me and you are still with me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. So, one thing I want to quickly touch on before I go into where you build your property to is very, very important. Like I said, I'm laying foundation. Today is going to be foundation. It's going to be foundation laying. And from next week, we're going to be building houses. Do you understand? One thing we must pay attention to also that is very, very, very important when it comes to real estate, especially for those of us that are building houses, is that, see, Number one rule when it comes to investment in real estate is that real estate is an investment. Real estate is an investment. And everything that has to do with investment, you cannot put sentiment. You cannot what? You cannot put sentiment. You cannot allow your emotion to take control. You can't what? Walk by emotion. You can't walk by sentiment. Because I see that a lot in Africa. A lot of people, in fact, there are so many people that have built their first house. Instead of them not packing into that first house that they built, it would have made more sense. Let me put it this way. It would have made more sense if they rent the house out and be making more money, but they want to pack into it because they want to have the status of I'm a landlord. But a lot of people don't know that you can be a tenant and a landlord at the same time. But that's not the point I want to make. You can be a landlord and a tenant at the same time. I think somebody needs to hear that again. But that's not where I'm actually going tonight. Where I'm actually going tonight is this. When you are building a house, and I want to give you this for free. Building a house in a place like, let's say, Ogba in Lagos, or a place like GRA in Port Harcourt, or a place like Gabi in Abuja, or a place, it depends. Most states, I mean, because I know we have mixed multitude. A lot of places have GRAs, right? A lot of places have GRA. You build house in such places, right? It commands higher rent. Are we together? It commands what? Higher rent. However, the same house that you built in those places, if you build it in a place, in another place that does not command higher rent because land is cheaper. Because what? Land is cheaper in those places. What will happen is that you will have spent the same amount of money. Let me give a practical scenario. Let me use Lagos as an example. There's a place called GRA in Lagos. GRA, dry land. Land is very expensive. You build house there. And rent there. In fact, if you want to get a 2-bedroom flat in GRA, maybe it's like 20 million naira per annum. Yes, 20 million naira, 10 million naira, 15 million naira. And there's another place that is like less than 1 hour to that same GRA. Also in Lagos State. The place is called Papa. Rent there, 2-bedroom is less than 1 million naira. But land is cheaper. So somebody can decide that he wants to go to Papa to go and build a house because land is cheaper. It's emotion. That's emotional sentiment. That's sentiment, emotional sentiment setting in. He built house there. He's not making money. I'm already going into some of the things I was supposed to say next week. He's not making enough money from that property. Whereas somebody else built in GRA, even though land is more expensive, note, the two of them have money. They finished their house in 3 months. And the other one is commanding 10 million, 13 million, 30 million, 40 million from the house. This one is just commanding maybe 2 million. The tenants are spoiling the houses. And the cost of construction is going to be the same thing. Any construction you want to do, whether you are building in Ebonyi, you are building in Abakaliki, the cost of construction from foundation, I mean, let's assume that it's the same set of type of foundation, apart from cost of land and the foundation, the cost of construction from foundation up is usually the same thing. Is what? Usually the same thing. It's usually the same thing. So I gave all this scenario because I want to lay a foundation that will prepare our mind that you don't need emotional sentiment when it comes to what? Real estate. Because some of us probably have even made some of those mistakes before. It's possible that some of us have made some of those mistakes before. Okay? So I said, let me track back a little bit. I said 2 things that your property must be doing for you. Number one is that property must be what? Must of necessity be generating cash flow for you, and must of necessity be increasing in value. Okay. If you have any property that is not generating cash flow and is not increasing in value, I'm going to be, from next week, we'll be touching on what you can do to them and how you can unlock cash from them. However, I want to quickly touch on this tonight, and I must touch on this one tonight. If you have any property that is not, whether it's land or house, right? I want to just give us a quick one. I'm going to be running through it. What are the other ways you can make money from those property? So like I said, this will help me with foundation. And if you are taking notes, take note. Like I said, the recording will also be made available. Okay. If you want to take note, kindly take note so that you can go back to it and say, okay, what can I keep? What can I implement immediately? Okay. So what can I implement immediately? Very, very important. Okay. So I'm going to be running through how to unlock cash flow from your property. Okay. How to unlock cash flow from your property. So let me start with house. Because a lot of people just think that, let me build house, let me build house, let me build house. Is building house the only thing in real estate? I know of someone. As I'm talking to you, the man is a multi-millionaire and he's not staying in his personal house. He's actually my friend. He's not what? Staying in his personal house. But this person has over 15 hostels. If you are still with me, type 15, 1 and 5. Just type 15. I just want to be sure you are with me. This person has what? 15 hostels. 15. So if you are still with me, you can still hear me. Just type 1 and 5, 15. This person has 15 hostels. Cash flow. Cash flow. So we must be thinking. We must be thinking. We must be thinking. This guy I'm talking about, he has 15 hostels. He has CBT center, 5 CBT center. All these places where they are writing jump. He has 5 CBT centers in all his 5 schools. He has a school. And in all his schools, he has CBT center in all his schools. And in all his schools, he has event center. So real estate is beyond, there's this, for those of us that are elderly people that are here, you understand this example I'm about to give, right? When you graduate from school, you get a good job. As soon as you manage to get a good job, the next thing your parents will be telling you is that, the first money you make, you have to start be building your own project, be building your house small, building your house small. Right? I don't know whether you've been there before. Your mom will just call you, especially if the next thing your mom saw is that you bought a car. If you have been there before, you say you have to be building, or you marry, right? They'll just be building your house small, be building your house small. It's not a bad thing, right? But that's still an emotional decision. Building your house to live in your own house does not add any valuation to you. Let me even shock you before I go into what I want to share tonight. Do you know that it is the running costs of living in a tenanted house is cheaper than the running cost in living in your own house, the house you built by yourself? I don't know whether anybody wants to debate that statement. It is cheaper in terms of running costs to live in a tenanted house than to live in the house that you built. I've been there before. Many, many years ago, I used to live in my own house in one area like that. I won't mention the name. And for security reasons, I moved to a tenanted house. because of the security situation in that area. They were always burgling my car. I was using one car like that too. They were burgling the car. They will burgle the car. They will burgle the car. So by the time I now moved away from that house to a tenant, I just realized that there's some money I used to spend in that place that I don't spend again. I transfer the cost to the landlord. If anything happened inside the compound, I just call the landlord. Landlord, though, something has happened in your compound, though. And because the other place I was staying, I had tenants, and I was staying there too. If anything happened, my house, oh, I don't want this house to I keep spending and spending, and I was not even keeping record. So it is cheaper to live in a tenanted. It's a very controversial statement. It's a very debatable statement, but I just want you to hold that one in your left hand so that you not use it up. Okay, so let me quickly run through what are the things. So anybody that has a house, right? You have a house. What are the ways? So these are the ways you can unlock cash flow fast from those houses. So like I said, this is just a bonus. This is not why we are here at all. But I feel that this is very, very important as part of the foundation so that we can quickly run with it. Number one thing for a house, I'm going to be sharing six. Okay, maybe I should just share seven things you can do with your house, how to make money from your house. Number one thing is yearly rent. Yearly rent. And that is the lowest form of making money from your house. Yearly rent. See, let me tell you something. There is no way you will build a house in Nigeria of today and you are collecting yearly rent that you will recover the money that you used to build that house in 100 years. No matter how much you increase the rent. Maybe somebody did not hear what I just said. There is no way you will build a house in Nigeria of today. There's no way you will build a house in Nigeria of today and you'll be collecting yearly rent and you recover the rent of that place in 50 to 100 years. It might even take you up to 100 years. Whereas, there are some places, if you buy a house there, within 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, you have recovered the cost. So yearly rent is the lowest way. And that's what majority of people do. There are so many people probably that are even on this call right now or listening to this now. And it is yearly rent. Let's do a practical example. In Lagos now, let's pick a location. Let's say in Lagos, there's really no place in Lagos you can buy land for 10 million, but let's just pick for ease of calculation. You bought a land, 10 million naira, right? You want to build on it. With 50 million naira, you can build 4 units of self-contained. 4 units of self-contained. Self-contained is selling fast in Lagos. So land plus house, that's what 60 million naira. I don't know whether you are following me. If you are following me, let me know in the chat room. That's 60 million naira. If you are following me, please, I need feedback in the chat room. That's what? That is 60 million naira. Anywhere land is going for 10 million naira in Lagos, you and I know that rent for one room self-contained in that place cannot be more than maybe, let's even say, hypothetically, maybe for the whole 4 room, for the whole self-contained, let's say 2 million. For the whole, let's say 500,000 per annum. Because anywhere they are selling land for 10 million naira, of course, you understand what I'm talking about. Places that command rent, for instance, my office is in Bagada in Lagos now. A plot of land in Bagada in Lagos is like 300 million, 200 million. A self-contained Bagada is self-contained here right now should be around 2.5 million naira. Because flat here is like 4 million. And duplex here is like 10 million naira. 2-bedroom flat like 4 million. 3-bedroom flat is like 6 million. So duplex is like 10 million naira. Per annum. Okay, so if you say 2 million naira, I mean, that's the rent you are collecting. From that rent, right, research has shown that more than 50% of that rent, you are going to use it to be maintaining the house. Research has shown that more than 50% of that rent is coming back to the maintenance of that house. That means your take home, your net profit is actually 1 million naira. So if you keep making 1 million, and see, somebody will, I was having this conversation with someone, and somebody was saying, I'll keep increasing rent. The more you increase rent, the more inflation to maintain the house too will keep going up. And if you don't maintain that house, the house will lose value. The house will degrade because tenants will use your house anyhow. I don't know whether somebody is getting what I'm sharing tonight at all. It will lose value. And when it loses value, the money you are supposed to be using to maintain it on a yearly basis so that it will not lose value, things like painting, burglary repair, pumping and all of those things, little things like that, to keep the value of the property in pristine state. Because if the property too is not in a pristine state, you can't command some type of rental income. Are we together at all? So with 1 million naira, it will take you 60 years to recover. Is that a good investment? I hope I'm not scattering some tables. So is that really a good investment? Let's think about it. Is it a good investment? So number one way to make money from your house is through rental income. Number two way is long-term lease. Long-term lease. There's a woman I manage a property for. I don't do property management, but because of relationship, we're managing this woman's property. And the woman is collecting, we sealed a deal for her of 50 million naira, 10 million naira yearly lease for 5 years. So those ones, and in that lease, the clause we put in that lease is that they are the one that will be maintaining the property. And if for any reason that property is not in the state we gave it to them, there's a particular deposit of, I think, 10 million naira extra they made that is refundable, or they'll use it for their next lease. It will not be refunded back to them. It's a whole building. And this is another smart way to transfer the responsibility of house maintenance back to the occupants. It's long-term lease. Number one, the beautiful thing about long-term lease is that you receive bulk fund. Let's say you build a house for 200 million or 300 million naira, and somebody leases it, maybe 10 years or 5 years, and these Chinese people do that a lot. Chinese company, all these Indians coming into Nigeria, they don't want to buy property because of law, and they want to leave Nigeria at any time. They lease it. So they do a lot of long-term lease, especially when your property is strategically located in some place. For instance, in Lagos now, if you have property within GRA, Keja, Ilupeju, all those areas, you can get a lot of long-term lease. Adeni Jones and all of those areas, you can get a lot of long-term lease. Like if it's 1, phase 2, Freedom Way, you get a what? A lot of long-term lease in all those areas. A lot of long-term lease. It's very, very possible. But if your property is not in a good location, forget about long-term lease. Nobody is coming to lease anything from you. So location matters a lot. Location does what? Matters a lot, right? So consider that is one of the ways. So, and another thing when it comes to long-term lease, that you need to be open-minded. The fact that your property is not commercially positioned or in a place for commercial positioning does not mean that you should not be smart. For instance, now, there's a man that owns a property somewhere in Adeni Jones. The property is not in a very commercial place, and he wants long-term lease. So what we did for the person was that I said, see, let's look for a company. We wrote some couple of proposals to some companies and said, see, you come and use this building as your staff quarters. Pay the lease and sublease it to all your staff to be paying rent to you in the company. You know, most company has what is called, what's it called? Accommodation allowances. That was how we package it. So I'm giving some people some ideas now. And we did it within 6 months. 12 units of flats was long-term leased, 25 million naira per annum, and they pay for 10 years. And the man took 250 million naira away. And they're going to be maintaining it because the clause is inside the agreement. I think they paid another deposit of 15 million for damages. Because those companies are liquid, they could do that. The same person, the reason why the person was insisting on lease is that he has a property close to a commercial place, I mean, on a commercial road, and Lagos State government leased that same property for 5 years for 250 million. I think they were using it for one of these, their subsidiary. And so, said this one is better now. Why will I be collecting yearly rent? If a pumping machine is spoiled, they will call landlord. If bulb spoiled, they will call landlord. Especially for those of us that are retirees here, look at long-term lease. See, when it comes to long-term lease, it might actually take a lot of time for you to get the client. But when you get the client, they usually stay long because it's long-term lease, but most of them will renew. Are we together? One other thing that we also can look at when it comes to long-term lease is that some people have done short-lets and they don't really, some people are good in short-lets, some people are not good in short-let. So if you have an apartment and you know that this apartment, maybe I've even been thinking about short-let, right? Instead of you running it, why not give it to people that are doing the short-lets, long-term lease? I don't know whether you get my point. Give it to somebody that will go and use it to do short-let. That's long-term lease. And you will make money. You just tell them that, see, pay me for 5 years. Pay me what for what? 5 years. Let me collect my rent and go and use the money to do something meaningful. Imagine those that collected long-term lease when Naira was less than 1,000, when Naira was 460. And now, you understand? If they want to renew the lease now, they will have to increase the value of their lease. Okay? So that is number 2 thing you can actually do. Okay? If you are still with me, just type 5. If you are still with me, type 5. If you are still with me, go to the chat room and type 5. So next, which is number 3 thing you can do with your property is to do a staycation. They call it short stay. Short stay. Convert your property to a short stay. Convert your property to a what? A short stay. Short let too is the same thing. It's like you are running your own hotel business, Airbnb. Some of you have heard about things like that before. Convert your property into that. So please, in case you have any question, because we don't want this meeting to be more than 1 hour, right? So by 8, we are going to end. So in case you have any question, just type it in the chat room. I'm going to come back and read through them and answer your questions, okay? So what I'm actually saying is that you can turn it to a short let. The same house you are collecting rent, maybe 1.5 million per annum or 3 million naira per annum. The same, if your property is located in a good location, you can be doing 50K per night in your short let. 10 nights is 500,000. 10 nights is what? 500,000. If you are just doing 10 nights, it's 500,000. If you do 10 nights consistently for 10 months, it's 5 million. Let's say your running cost is 50%. That's 2.5 million. Compare your 2.5 million naira to 1.5 million naira rent. It's not the same thing. Imagine if you are doing 15 nights and you can do 15 nights. That's 7.5 million. Imagine you have 3 of such in the same location. Your running cost will be the same running cost. So I have a master class on shortlist separately. So maybe one of these days we'll run a training too on that. Okay, so you can do shortlets. So the next thing you can also do is partial lease. So a partial lease is different from a long-term lease. A partial lease is what you usually hear, which in some states is actually illegal, especially in Nigeria. Instead of you collecting your rent annually, you can tell them, I want to be collecting my rent every 3 years, every 4 years. It's different from lease. Oh. Yes. Lease is usually, in fact, lease is supposed to be a 10 years thing. Yeah. So partial lease is 5 years below. But, things have changed now. There's no proper definition of some of these things again. Okay. So partial lease basically means that, see, as soon as you are bringing tenants in, you tell them, I collect my own rent to every 2 years. You pay me 2 years rent. You pay me 4 years rent. You pay me 5 years rent. But it's still rent. It's not lease. So the law that govern rental, yearly rental is similar to the law that govern partial lease. You understand? In fact, some kind of rent are 6-month rent. Some kind of rent are monthly rent, right? But lease is long term. Okay, I don't know whether that is clear. In case you have any question on that, just drop it. I want to see how I can finish this foundation today. Then I think that's number 4 now, is seasonal and holiday homes. So you have a house in Imowe, in Ibafor, in all those areas, and you work in VI. My brother, don't park there. Convert it to a seasonal and holiday home. You build it. It's my house, my personal house. Turn it to a accommodation where people can come and be doing retreats. Turn it to what? To an accommodation where people can come and be doing retreats. People will come there, they will come and do retreats. A retreat center to shit up. All these things that I'm giving you right now, you need to still go and do a personal study and research on them, on how you can use those property to do it. And move to town, move to where it's closer to your work. Move to where it's closer to your work so that it can help your health. Right? Especially when your house, because some people need those places as a place that they can just get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. They want to do retreat 2 weeks, they want to do deliverance and all of those things, especially when your house, and most people's house are very close to all these major church, Redeem, Canaan Land, all those areas. Very, very important. Because of time, lastly on this one, because of time, is hostel accommodation. Most of us, the first time I traveled to UK, we underestimate the power of hostel. That my friend I said has 15 hostels. He said it's one of the best decisions he has ever made in his life. What he makes from those hostels is like he's printing money. Because he's selling per bunk. He's selling bed space. We all went to our institution now. It's bed space. He said what he's making from those hostels. The first time I traveled to the United Kingdom many years ago, one of the recommendations that was given to me was to stay in an hostel. And coincidentally, at that same period of time, I know of somebody that was staying in an hostel, so I went to visit the person. So because the hotel in that particular location was very, very expensive, so and he needed to be within that area, so he stayed in an hostel. The bed is there, so it's a bunk. Bed space is basically what you are paying money for. There's a common toilet, and there's also a common toilet, bedroom, and all of those things. Nothing like kitchen, nothing like anything. You just come and sleep there. And people cash out a lot because you pay per night. You pay every night, and people cash out a whole lot. So these are a few things you can do with houses. So let me run through land. So for those that have empty land, which I know that a lot of people will probably have fall into this category. Please let's mute our mic. Mr. Isaiah Murphy just disrupted our meeting. Okay, so let's quickly, please let's mute our mic. Isaiah Murphy, mute your mic, please. Okay, thank you very much. So what are the things you can do with land? What are the things you can do with land? Because of time, I'm going to run through this also. Number one, you can convert your empty space into an rental, open space rental. Open space rental. I made this recommendation to someone. In fact, it was the last time I took this particular course. So I made this recommendation to somebody. He said he has 3 plots. He has built, he did foundation at the back of that 3 plots, and he just fenced it. So he was just thinking, what can he do? I told him, and I'm going to give this recommendation. I said, forget about the uncompleted building. Clear the 3 plots. Clear it. Ram the 3 plots. Since you have fenced it, just look for money to put a good gate there. Ram it and put signboard outside. Open space for rent. He has finished the bungalow now. It is the rent the money was making from the rent. The university has the house very close to Shagam. So people will have burial. Instead of them blocking road, they'll come and rent his house. Even though the place is not even on the road, though. But because he put it there, he never knew that the market was actually there. And he was making money. Very little money. Very, very little money was renting this open space out to. People want to come and play ball. On the weekend, they'll come and rent the place. Because he ram it, he smooth, he make the place to be very smooth. He removed, you know the funniest thing, because the person was so broke at that very point in time, he did it by himself. And today he's making money. So creativity is very, very, very important. There are so many things I'm going to be opening our eyes to that possibility that you have not even thought of them. Right? Like I said, tonight is just foundation. Tonight is just foundation. Number 2 is that you can turn it to car park. It depends on the location. Depending on the location, you can turn it to car park. Number 3 is that you can put tents. In fact, I'm currently consulting for someone right now. He has 2 plots of land and was thinking of what to do. And he showed me the place. The place is facing a third road. I said, go and look for tents. Go and put tents. Go and put tents there. Turn it to event center. He said, there's regulation. I said, that's the problem with Nigerians. Anytime an idea occurs to us, the brilliance of that idea is not what dominates our mind. What dominates our mind is how that idea is not, how the implementation of that idea is not possible. He's thinking of regulation. I said, my brother, go and start first. Regulation, you catch up with the regulation. Because if you do over-analysis lead to paralysis, if you do all the analysis of the reason why that thing cannot work, you will never get it done. You will never get it done. You keep doing the analysis, regulate. I said, go and that land, leave it. It's facing that road, no problem. Enough people are not passing. Who will come and feasibility study? I say, I understand business too. I said, but go and price tents first. How much are they making tents? Are we together at all? Okay. So another thing you can do with open space is car wash. Car wash. I mean, we see all these things all the time now, but most of us don't pay attention to it. If you know the money that is available in car wash, you will pay attention to it. So let me run. My time is already up. Number 3 is you can turn it to a prayer camp. You know, all those orioke that people go to. Some people hold it to. Okay, so you can turn it to a green area for picnic. You can turn it to a warehouse. There's a space in Computer Village, very close to Computer Village in Lagos, in Ikeja. People rent those space and put container there, and they pay rent. The place is an empty land, they pay rent for putting their container there. So people are looking for things like that. Number next is that you can turn it to a market. All those markets, some people are paying rent, and people will be paying you grand rent. Okay, just look for the relevant laws in the location that you belong. You can turn it to an horticulture center and greenery, where you'll be doing nurturing of carpet, grass, flowers, and all of those things. And you can be planting berries, tomatoes, and do vertical farming. These are so many things. I can't exhaust them tonight. So with this few points of mine, this is the conclusion of day one of the property cash flow course. So from next week, we are going to be going into some details. Okay, I wanted to do some definition today, but time does not even permit me. Don't worry, next week, I'm going to be going into some details. I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you. Okay, so if in case you have any question, and if you want to unmute too, I think we have 3 minutes to answer questions. So let me just quickly run through the chat room if in case you have any questions. Somebody said that I have a property that I want to sell because I built it like an hostel or hotel, but as pastor, I cannot go into hotel business. The property is about 70% to 70 to 75% complete. I will send the video to you for advice. Mr. Pastor Praise Edmond, I don't think as a pastor you cannot go into hotel business. I don't think so. But of course, maybe when we talk one-on-one. But let me just say this. You can still go into hotel business. You can partner with somebody. Or it depends on the area, because the area too matters. It's not all areas hotels can sell. Right? It's not all areas hotels can sell. If it's an hostel that can sell there, why not? If it's short-let business that can sell there, why not? And if it's hotel that can sell, you can do hotel. Just partner with someone. You see, there are hotels that some people own the infrastructure. That's the concrete, the work. But another person run the hotel. I don't know whether you understand. So who says you can't run hotel? It's not hotel that they do. I mean, I was in Abeokuta 2 weeks ago. I stayed in an hotel. The hotel was, oh my goodness. It was actually, from the hotel, you know, it was somebody's house that was converted into an hotel. It was in Celia's, I think that's Cecilia or Celia's suite in Ibarra or something like that, the GRA there. Very nice, cozy place. They don't have bar. They don't sell beer in the hotel. And they have about maybe 50 rooms or so, or 30 rooms. Okay? So you can just look for people to partner with, and they'll run it for you. Okay, Mr. Kelos says that, I don't, okay, Eze Kelvin, I think that's his name. Eze Kelvin says, we'll be ready for partnership for the hotel owner in case he's interested and the location is good. You can reach out. You see? So just please, let's investigate to everybody on this call. Most of the people on this call, I don't know them. So don't say that it was in my meeting, you met the person here. Okay, so but why not? If the two of you have integrity, you can sign contract and you partner. Okay, so that's not any other question. But Mr. Pastor Praise, you can chat me up privately. Chat that number up privately. Then we can find time to talk, right? You can just find time to talk. I can guide you on some of the things. And maybe when you send me the video too, I can have an idea which area and all of those things. There might be more thoughts. Like I said, creativity is what we need. Any other question, please? Okay, so in absence of any question, we already overshoot our time by one minute. So let the conversation continue in the WhatsApp group, okay? In case you have any question, just continue it in the WhatsApp group and we'll take it up from there. So my name still remains Okpe Oluwa Oni. So we'll meet again Thursday next week And you know, the beautiful thing about Thursday next week is June 12th by 7 p.m. Yes, we'll meet again 7 p.m. Thursday next week. See you. Bye.